it's all about focusing on what comes next. The less energy we give these old systems, the quicker they disintegrate. And I think that's really the key for us right now. And we've got to just have some patience and compassion for our bodies, because that is where the biggest transformation in a way is happening, because this is an embodied ascension. We're not escaping the body. We're not escaping earth. We are doing this from within. So within these bodies, we are changing the molecular structure of this body to be able to hold more light, to exist in a higher dimension. Hi, I'm Anina Malherbe-Lan from Vivid Earth. So a lot of what we're seeing at the moment is chaos on the planet. So people will say, well, I don't believe what you're saying because there's so much chaos on the planet. Look at the world stage, the politics, war, what people are doing to one another. There's so much polarity, there's so much division more than ever. So yes, when there is a kind of a bifurcation happening, you will notice a lot more polarity and division on the planet. But remember, it's always darkest before the dawn. We are entering the dawn of a new age, and it's always darkest before that breakthrough. And sometimes we've got to break down to break through. And all of the systems of control that are currently in this planet, that is no longer in resonance with the frequency, the rising frequency of the planet and its inhabitants, has to fall away. And of course, not all of those things will fall away with, okay, that's fine. We'll end this system now. No, there's a lot of, uh, you know, opposition in letting go of the old systems, because the old systems of control makes a lot of sense to those that are not prepared to go to the higher dimensions. They can't let go of that because they don't understand that there's no need for power and greed. There's no need for control. Like, those systems are parasitic systems that will never really survive. They have to, at some point, either self-destruct or change. And we are going through that change right now. And we've got to understand that in order to create new systems that are kind, compassionate, in harmony with nature and the planet, the old systems has to be demolished and self-destruct in many cases. But we don't have to watch their destruction. We don't have to give it our energy and attention. If we can, and if that's part of our mission, we focus on the new, on building the new structures and systems that are going to take us into a new earth. And we don't literally have to watch the buildings burn in the background, um, and it's all about focusing on what comes next. The less energy we give these old systems, the quicker they disintegrate. And I think that's really the key for us right now. So, will there be people that bring through new energy into the current systems in the US and around the world? Absolutely. And you can already see, and that's why a lot of the star seeds and the volunteers have come through with that new energy. Perhaps they got activated at some point. Maybe it was during the pandemic 5 years ago. But a lot of these people came through with new energy. It's kind of, we are these rebel souls that went, okay, no, this doesn't make sense. And no, we're not going to just obey. We are going to ask the difficult questions. We're going to ask the critical questions that is needed for humanity to break through out of the box. And when you look at it even further, the new children that's being born right now are just very, very different. A lot of them are not born with karma. There's no veil for them. They remember who they are. So a lot of these souls are also meant to bring in dramatic change on earth. And they will look at life and systems and everything around them very differently and make the major shifts that is needed on this planet. So as much as we are going through quite a quantum leap right now, a lot of the other things will take more time to change. And it's these young people that have come through, devoid of illusion and karma, that will be able to make the massive changes needed on this planet for us to create new earth systems that are kinder, more compassionate, more peaceful, more focused on unity consciousness, and in unconditional love. And that is what we need, because there's no lack on this planet. We've just been conditioned that there is a lack. There's a lack of money, there's a lack of water, there's a lack of oil, there's a lack of oxygen for that matter. We have to watch our own carbon footprint, and none of these things are true. There is an abundance on this planet that we can tap into. There's absolutely no lack. I mean, we're the only species that feel like we can't exist on this planet without buying the land, buying the food, buying the rocks, buying the plants. It's like, who owns those things that they can be sold to us? Because where did the government how did the government decide it's theirs, and where did they buy it from? So, so we will move back to a time on Earth where we have free access to everything that the planet has to offer, all the abundance, and we won't need to buy things. But those changes will happen over time. At the moment, we're still going to need money and these things, although the nature of money is going to change very soon. There's in time, maybe in a decade or two, we won't need money at all. And so I think that is what we're working towards. And a lot of these children just think very differently. They're not programmed like many of us that had to really work at letting go of the programs. And they will be able to make these huge quantum leaps on the planet that is necessary. Yeah, so we are in this ascension process right now, in the middle of it. And a lot of people are feeling, you know, all sorts of things during this time. They may be feeling anxious. They may be feeling a bit confused. They may be having physical symptoms during this time. We have to understand that this is a massive shift, not just of dimensions, but our physical body has to transform as well during this time. So it's as if humanity is in the chrysalis of that change. When a caterpillar is busy transforming into a butterfly, it has to let go of everything that it knew and what made up its reality. It has to go into that mush phase in order to be reborn as a butterfly. And that is what humanity is going through at the moment. And a lot of people are left very confused, very anxious, they don't know what's happening to their body. They're having all sorts of symptoms, which we call ascension symptoms. We're getting a lot of help from galactic help at the moment. There's a lot of light streaming onto the planet. We are also in a very light part of the photonic belt at the moment. So our planet is literally being bombarded with light, and light really carries information. So it's bringing back all this ancient information back to Earth and back to us, because most of us are ancient beings that have been around for many thousands of years and have forgotten all of the wisdom and all the experiences that we've been going through. And so slowly but surely, there's this remembrance that is filtering through to us for those that are really sensitive to the energy. And we've got to just have some patience and compassion for our bodies, because that is where the biggest transformation in a way is happening, because this is an embodied ascension. We're not escaping the body. We're not escaping Earth. We are doing this from within. So within these bodies, we are changing the molecular structure of this body to be able to hold more light, to exist in a higher dimension. And this is monumental. So, of course, there's going to be some discomfort, there's going to be some confusion. But for those of us that are doing the work, that are really understanding what's going on, we feel grateful to be alive at this time, to be going through these changes, even if it comes with some exhaustion, some flu-like symptoms, some stomach issues, nervous system issues. You can imagine what the body has to go through to be able to shift, a vibrational octave as much as we are currently. And so it's just a wonderful time to be on this planet. Yeah, so the galactic remembrance, which I speak about, and being a galactic bridge, is really something that I just recently fully stepped into. We kind of get inklings of these things, and we're like, no, I can't go there, I can't talk about it. But at some point we've got to embrace it, embrace who we are. And I've been studying galactic astrology I've been interested in kind of as a hobby, studying it for the last few years, and really gotten deeper into it over the last 8 months.
which is and it's a fascinating subject because it can really give you a sense of your multidimensional being from a galactic sense. What are the planets that you've spent time on in other lives? Because we're all ancient, we've been around for millions of years. Our soul doesn't die, so it has had all these galactic experiences that we simply, most of the time, not even aware of until one day something calls us to be awakened to that reality. Um, and so I've stepped into that sort of world a little bit more and discovered that I am meant to be a galactic bridge. In other words, bridging galactic wisdom onto the planet, um, and channeling that information through. And there are deep space objects that are very interesting as well that I've discovered that I'm aligned with, meaning the galactic center and the Shapley attractor. So you have normally the galactic center, which is a huge deep space, like a black hole kind of vortex. Then you get the super galactic center, which is further away and even bigger. Then you get the great attractor, which is even bigger and further away. And then you get the Shapley attractor, which is really from another galaxy. It's like a vortex, like a black hole that have like 6,000 galaxies that it's like um, sucked into itself. And I've got an alignment with the Shapley attractor as well, conjunct to my sun. So realizing that, you can sidestep all of those things as much as you like, but at some point you're going to have to face the blueprint that you chose as a soul, the experiences you've had as a multidimensional galactic being, and what you're here to do in terms of anchoring that information and that wisdom and that knowledge and onto the planet. So it's really something that I started stepping into much more deeply over the last few months, and it's been super activating for me and just yeah, wonderful to be able to get some of that remembrance, not to get distracted because we're still in this human experience and in this human avatar for a reason, because we're doing an embodied ascension through the human form. But at the same time, we can tap into all of that multidimensional wisdom and knowledge and abilities and skills and gifts if we choose to. And so that's what I try and encourage in others, those that are ready and open to that. So basically how this is all affecting us, it's directly affecting our DNA. It's awakening dormant DNA within us, which is starting to switch on our intuitive abilities, abilities that have long been buried. Because remember, they talk about 96, 97% junk DNA. Well, that's not junk DNA. There's something there that we simply do not have access to at this time, but that can be unlocked. And we currently only using 2 strands of our DNA. For some of it's already maybe 3 or 4, but we are ready to switch on all 12 strands of DNA within the human form. And that itself is monumental. And all of these solar flares, which is really just, light codes coming through the sun being emitted to us. So even things like sun gazing, just being in the sun, is crucial right now to be able to activate your DNA. It happens slowly and incrementally, like every day. So that's why I always say it's important just to do a little bit of sun gazing, if you can, every single day, just to soak up the codes, because they work in little incremental uh, ways. It doesn't come as a big, you know. And also, I think where we were destined to have a big solar flash to kind of change everything on this planet, we would have seen a lot of death and destruction if that was the case. And I think a different route was decided where we were rather going to experience a lot of mini flashes that was going to be giving our bodies a chance to catch up, to be able to absorb the light a little bit better, because it can be quite dramatic for the body, as we can feel every day when the flares are coming down. We can feel it in our bodies. Like sometimes we just have aches and pains.
Sometimes, there's like a physical purge. You have a flu-like symptoms, or you have a stomach issue, or you have ringing in the ears, or you have a splitting migraine. So these are all like little uh, doses of solar light coming through rather than the big flash. But I do believe there's going to be a big push, like just pushing us through the birth canal, so to speak, when that new human is born. That will be a bigger flash than what we've seen to date. So I don't know. I'm really feeling like it could be before the end of the year. It could be connected to when Atlas is close to Earth, the solstice, but who knows? That is just kind of my gut feel. I feel like something is going to happen before the end of the year that's going to quantum leap us forward. We're also in a number 9 year, which means endings and conclusions, end of a cycle. So we're about to enter a new cycle in 2026. So we're going to see a lot of endings and conclusions at the end of 2025. And I think we are ready for the cycle to end. I believe that the veil will start lifting for humanity soon, where we will actually remember all of our lifetimes. We will remember our cosmic origin. We've been conditioned to think small and to act small, many of us. And the point is, we're not small at all. We are infinite beings. We are beyond powerful, beyond gifted. And it's about being just willing and ready without any ego, but just an openness to step into that. And I do believe with all that solar activity that we're experiencing, and perhaps with a sort of bigger flash, that veil is going to be lifting. We're going to remember who we are, who we were, why we're here, why we chose this blueprint, and remembering all of our lives everywhere in the universe. And really, then, but we must be ready, spiritually mature for that, and ready to live in unity consciousness, because otherwise it can be a dangerous ability to have, shall I say. You have to be spiritually mature for that. But it's such an exciting time. The veil is going to be lifting for us. And I think we're all more than ready for that. So I just want to tell people that, you know, we are doing amazingly well. We are going through a monumental time on Earth right now. Give yourself a little bit of a break. Yeah, people can find me at on YouTube, Vivid Earth underscore 3.0. We'll leave the link below maybe, and then also my website, vividearth.org. That's Vivid Earth, one word. And I just like to share with people all of this information and guide them along their journey. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here at this time and to share with everyone. And I just want to send everyone my love and gratitude.